I'm Eric Hernandez, and you are listening to the Functional Tennis Podcast.
Welcome to the Functional Tennis Podcast, the YouTube version, and excited to bring you this week Eric Hernandez. Eric is the strength and conditioner coach for world number 2 at the minute, but previously turned world number 1, Danil Medvedev. He's been working with him since 2014. We chat all about the early days, getting Danil to buy into strength training and how their relationship has grown, and also how they keep it quite a business relationship. It's really interesting, and he tells us a lot more strength and conditioning tips and how important the lower base is for tennis players. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Before we get started, 2 things. The Functional Tennis Sabre, our new sweet spot training tool, is launching very soon. Keep your eye on our website functionaltennis.com or our Instagram account Functional Tennis for any info on that. It's a product I developed myself from the ground up in January 2021. It's taken a long time to get it to sale time, which will be the middle of May, but can't wait for you to see it and probably get your hands on one. Secondly, a big thanks to Slinger Bag, our podcast sponsors. They're an amazing business to work with. They greatly support the podcast and they make a great portable ball machine. Check it out at slingerbag.com or their Instagram account slingerbag. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available to help. Hope you enjoyed this episode with Eric. Here we go. Hi Eric, welcome to the Functional Tennis Podcast. How are you?
I'm good, and you? I appreciate to be with you and to talk about our favorite sport, the tennis.
Yes, no, a pleasure to have you on. You are the strength and conditioning coach for world number 1, Danil Medvedev, and it's an honor to have you on here. But maybe tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got started, if you have any tennis background, and how you got started in the strength and conditioning world.
Okay, I'm Eric. I'm French. I live in south of France, and I did my university also in France, my sports university, and I started in the tennis 12 years before, but it was not my sport. When I was young, I did a lot of different sports. I touched on a lot of sports, but tennis was not my sport. And when I finished my university, I had 1 or 2 opportunities to work in the small club. It was 12 years before, and I started like this. And step by step, I developed my way to work in the tennis, and until the last step with Danil. But I met Danil 8 years before, and I started with him in the June 2014, and we did all steps all together. And this is my story in the tennis. I'm not from the tennis. My favorite sport when I was young was the soccer, and step by step, I learned to transfer a bit some abilities from the other sport for the tennis, and I developed my way to think about the tennis and my process about the tennis, and I had some good opportunities to show and to share with different coaches and other fitness coach, and I had some opportunities to work correctly. And I started at the beginning on the small club, and after in the Monaco Federation of the tennis, a small federation, but with one team in the Davis Cup and some players around 500, 300, 500 ATP. And after we started to work with a higher player, and I met Danil and some other player. We started with one group, and step by step, all the step until the best place.
Wow. And in college, in university, did you study strength and conditioning?
Yeah, I did 5 years in French university sports, and it's between management of sports. It means like to build your company and how to organize your business, and on the other part, all the strength and conditioning, all the physiology, biomechanic, anatomy of the human body, to understand how you can develop this human performance.
Nice. When you start working with your local tennis club, did you know this is what you want to do for a long time?
No, it was like an opportunity to work. When I was like this 12 years before, I worked in the small club of the tennis. I worked in the cycling team, regional team, not like we can call it half pro. I had something in the basketball also, and I was in different sport, and I said, okay, let's go for the tennis. I like this sport. It's an individual sport. I was more in collective sport, and he said, okay, let's go to learn something and to develop my experiences. And I started like this, and never it was in my head to think like, okay, I will be a big fitness coach in the tennis at the high level. It was not in my head. You say, okay, let's go to start on this sport and we will see where I will go.
And when you start working with Daniel at the start, did you think this guy could be world number one, or we just say he's a good tennis player, he needs a bit of work?
It was like when I started with Danil, as I said, in June 2014. He was at the end of the junior season, at the end of the junior, and for sure he was with potential. And you have like some group like this when you are top 20 in the junior, for sure you have a potential. But on my way to think on this sport, it's not because you are at the high level in junior that you will be in top 100 and you will do career. Me, I'm totally in opposition of that. And it was okay. This guy has some abilities. He has some tennis potential. He knows to play tennis. But we can develop a lot of things on this physical part because we can see that he is like weak in a different part of the fitness and is in a good way. He's top 20 in junior. It means that we can improve a lot of part of his performance. And yeah, it was interesting. After, for sure, no one can say, yeah, he will be top 10 or don't talk about number one because no one can say this player will be number one. Even if you see Alcaraz now, no one can say for sure he will be number one. He is on the good way, but no one can say. But me with Danil, it was okay. He has a potential to become a professional, but I don't know. Professional means 150, 100, 80. No one can say. No one. And it was not in my head. It was okay. Let's go to push this guy to see where we can go, but with no limit because we cannot know.
And I've seen some of the videos. I've posted some of your videos where he's working hard. You do a lot of stuff without a racket, a lot of shadowing stuff. But how hard does he actually work? Is he a beast or an animal, as they like to say? He's a big engine.
I don't know if we can call him a beast, but for sure we have different steps on the development of Danil. It means like we started, as I told you, almost 8 years before, and it was just to put the base on the strengths, on the coordination for the tennis. And we started like this. At the beginning, Danil was not like a big worker, but he worked, but not like to push him every day. It was he was young, 18 years old. You are still like not a real an adult. It's true, and we have to learn a lot of things. And yeah, he was a good worker, but not amazing. It was sometimes not easy to say, "Allez, let's go to do that." And he didn't know, he didn't understand why he did all this stuff. But step by step, we build how you say our confidence to work all together and say, okay, I explain you every day why you do this, why you do this. You want to know why we do that? I can explain you. We want to know this, and it was like this. And step by step, he understood. He understood why he worked like that. And for me, it's the most important. When he learned and when he understood why we push him like this every day and why he has to do this, himself, he said, okay, I have the potential. You explain me everything. And let's go to push more. And when he understood this, we saw also it was in the link to touch high level. When he did the year 320 and he finished the year 99, for sure he understood that, yeah, man, I can do a career and I can become a professional. And he changed a bit his way to think how he wants to work, and he worked more. And it was like, so easy for us, step by step, to add something and to build something more. And yeah, now I can tell you that for me, it's just my opinion, but Danil is a very, very big worker. He spent a lot of time on the court, in the fitness room, and for me, he's one of the guys who work the most. For sure, you have some player who work like him, like us, but he is on the group where we spend a lot of times on the physical part because he knows also, and he understood that without physical part, he cannot play tennis. When you see his physical, he's tall, very skinny, and if he doesn't have this big base of physical, how he can play? he cannot touch the high level if he doesn't have this physical.
And explain, what is a big base of physical? Is it leg strength, endurance, a mix of both, or is it being able to do certain exercises?
For me, I give you my opinion. I learned this maybe because I become of the other sport, but for me, tennis is a leg sport. I said every time this in the beginning when I started in the tennis. Tennis is a leg sport, and the base is to be very strong and very, how you say, mobile, with the coordination to transfer that. And after, for sure, you need to know how to hit the ball, but the first is to have a good legs, very strong, to move fast and to have the highest coordination with the ball who is coming with you, coming to you, and this was the base. That's why to build the player, it was not to develop the upper body at the beginning, it was to develop the lower body and core, to say, okay, man, you are tall, you have good way to move, because Danil moved good when I meet her. We optimize this, but it was not bad on that. And we say, okay, we build your strengths, your stability, the capacity to run as he is doing, to repeat this kind of effort. And after we will see to develop a bit your upper body and what we can do in the other part. But the first thing was the strength of the lower body, to say, okay, man, tennis is a leg sport. You have to learn, you have to work how to use your legs with the good coordination. Not only to do strength for the strength, it was to do strength for the tennis in the link with the movement.
Let's say for a 16, 17-year-old, a couple of years left in juniors, one, how much time when they're not competing should they be spending in the gym room doing non-tennis exercises? And is there any, I know everybody's different, is there like 2 or 3 exercises which are essential for tennis players?
I don't know if we can say there is like 2 or 3 specific exercises, but for sure I can count like this, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 main exercises to develop the lower body. And for me, the key is to put the red line on your work and to keep this red line. It means like the goal with Danil was to develop his lower body first. It means that in his program, during the year, we need to have this red line to say, okay, each 3 days we work on that. Because if you work on that during 10 days when he is with you, and when he goes in the tournament, he loses second round, he has 4 days, he doesn't do this work, you miss this red line, you know. That's why the most important and the key for me is to define the red line of the work and to keep it during I mean, it was like this during 2 years. 2 years we keep this red line to say, okay, man, you want to develop, you are a tennis player, you play a lot of tournaments, a lot of matches, we don't have a lot of time, but anyway, as soon as you lose, let's go to do this work, let's go to continue on this way, let's go to try to touch this goal. And it was our way to work. I mean, when you see like this, it's very simple, but hard to put on your program when you are on the tour on the tennis.
What are those, give me an example of those main base exercises?
It means we work, you know, it can be like very simple, like hip thrust exercise. You saw some videos of Danil to do it. Hip thrust is the extension of the hip. Work on your glutes, your hamstring, and stability of your hip. And for sure, this kind of muscles and this way to work, you use it when you do some tennis of movement. You work on the laterality when you move on side, and when you block, you come back, you sprint in the other side. All the stability of the hip is very important, the strength of the hip. Also, we talk about extension of the hip. When you sprint, you know, a bit on the side or a little bit front, for sure you use this extension of the hip, and it's like very important to work it. Hip thrust for me is one of the main exercises.
I think it was a day or two after the hip thrust video went online. Then there was one of Emma Raducanu doing it. I'm not sure if you saw it, where she had 200 kilos on the hip thrust bar. Like, it was crazy, like, and she was doing it for fun.
Yeah, what was crazy, because you know, to touch this weight like this, 200, for me it means like it's a little bit too much. And even if she can do, I don't know. When I see this video, I was a little bit surprised to say, okay, wow, it's very, really, really, really big.
Yeah, it was big. But so, what's been the secret for you being able to have this, you say, since 8 year relationship with Daniel to keep it going? Because that's an important part of growth.
I don't know if there is like, I cannot tell you there is like one secret, because everyone is different, and Danil has his personality, I have my character, and it's just to have like two things: to have this professional part, to say, okay, I'm the coach, I'm the fitness trainer, he's a tennis player, and we have to keep this distance between. I'm his coach, I'm not his friend, I'm not his, and we have to keep it, even if we were good, even if we have a good result, and we worked during a lot of years together. For me, this distance is important to keep our everyone has his place. This is important, and after it's just like the capacity adaptation of the human. It's how I can tell you, I don't know. It's there is no key, just to be honest on your work, to not lie when there is some problem, because it's not because you are fitness coach that your player will not have injury or something like this. This is in the process of the high level in sport. Check around you, all the professional sports had some injury in his career, and it's not every time the fault of the fitness. That's why, to be honest, sometimes you do some exercise to try to manage it. Sometimes you are sure. Sometimes you just, to be honest, on your way to work, to not, every time I say you throw some stars like this. Yes, yeah, no. This is, stay calm, stay logical. Try to explain what you do, and you have to explain every time why you are doing that, why you prefer to do this kind of exercise or this kind of practice. And to work in this honest atmosphere, and you build step by step the confidence, and after is a human relation. That's it.
And
That's it. But the two keys will be to stay simple, to explain everything, to listen the player, and on the other side, to keep your distance. Don't forget that you are one coach, and you are here for the performance first. And if you have the amical friend link, is good. But the most important, I prefer to be a little bit like this with the player, but we have some result and we have the performance, that to be like a friend and to not have.
yeah, that's a good point. And how often are you on the road? I saw you're at Indian Wells. Do you travel much with him, or is a lot of the work done back at base?
I can say step by step I move more, but me on my side, I don't want to move around the world. It's not my kind of life. I can say it's personal choice, but Daniel knows that, and I said, okay, me, I can move with you on the tournament, but my life is not to be around on the tour all the year. But this kind of explication, Daniel understand and say, okay, we have some very important period during the season, and you have to be with me, but after let's go to try to have another organization. And we started like this, to say, okay, when you are not with me, you practice with me, I explain you everything, and normally you will be able to do by yourself some practice. And we have also this how we say this chance that we work with Gilles Cervara since 2017, and this type of coach is very interesting, because he wants to have the link with all the parts, mental, physical, and he wants to understand, and he came on each physical practice to see how it was. And now since a lot of years, when I'm not with I'm not with them, sorry, Gilles saw the practice, knows what he has to do. He is here a bit to correct Danil, and Danil knows what he has to do. That's why in our organization, to move a bit, to do some tournaments, but I can say I do 6-7 tournaments during the year. Can be enough, because when you see the season, there is, okay, Australia, I never went, but maybe one time. But after, you have European tournament. Okay, for Indian Wells Miami, it's important. After, you have the transition with the clay. I can go on 1 or 2 tournaments. Transition with the grass, 1 or 2 tournaments. After, you have the American circuit, the same, can be good to be on 1 or 2 weeks. and after there is like the end of the season if you have like a last period of practice, and the master if you are in top 10 or something like this. But we can see that there is 5 or 6 big important period during the year, and me, I can do that on tournament, no problem.
Nice. And I see this year is obviously going to be a bit different for you with the clay court preparation. You'll be probably doing some back to basic exercises over the next month or so. But what are important exercises when you are making that transition to clay?
I can tell you for sure there is some I say specific organization, specific things. On the clay, as everybody knows, you slide, and for sure the way how you're gonna use your muscles is a little bit different, especially for the adductor, hamstring. You use more in the eccentric part. It means like when you have a contraction, where your muscle is in the stretching, and you have to prepare to protect these muscles. To have this solicitation on eccentric, it's more on the clay. That's why for sure you have to keep your red line. I don't forget this, your red line about the strengths, but you have to add some specific exercise for the eccentric of adductor, for eccentric on hamstring, some exercise for the stability of the hip during the slide. Yeah, and after about cardio part, it's a little bit different about the cardio part because the point is a little bit longer, and yeah, maybe to accentuate a bit the repetition of effort. But yeah, I can tell you that.
And let's say one of your players does a good preseason and it gets to December and they get certain strength levels. By the end of the season, so the November afterwards, what sort of strength levels do they maintain? The strength, by the sound of you, it's maintained, keeping that red line. But in general, what's the feel?
Our challenge is to keep the strength and to try to keep this red line, as I told you. After, it depends really the season. If I compare last season, it means like 2019 and the season here 2021. In 2019, we finished the year. Danil was very, how you say, not very weak, but weaker and tired, because he did, remember you, he did amazing summer with 6 final in a row. And he played, it was something like 25 matches on 32 days in USA. And after he did a good result also in Asia Tour, and yeah, he finished the year. He was like 3 kilograms less than the main weight for him. A little bit like sick, weak and sick, and for sure it was almost impossible to keep our red line during 2 months, because he played just amazing. And when it's like this, you don't have time to practice. I mean, the practice was the match, that's it. And if we compare with the season as we did last year, or as you are doing now for the 2022, we can say that we manage it and we can finish correctly the year. When we finish the year, for sure the player is tired, because I mean, everyone needs to know that tennis is a very hard sport when you move around the world, and when you play a lot of matches, you don't have a lot of time to recover if you have to keep this red line, this physical red line. That's why at the end of the year, he was less tired than 2019, but still, the end of the season, he played Davis Cup, he won the Davis Cup, and we had just some days. It was like just 2 weeks of the winter preparation. It was not real winter preparation, but the same, to keep the red line for the next season. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the year, the player is more, tired and a little bit weaker than at the end of the winter preparation.
But your goal, it looks like, is to try and maintain that as much as possible throughout the year.
Yeah, because we don't have a lot of time in the tennis, and when you have time to, during 10 days, 2 weeks to work, you develop something, and after, your challenge is to keep this development for the next period, when you will have 1 week and a half or 2 weeks, to push a bit more higher to keep this. And there, it's like really long process. Me, every time I said, I do some training course in university now in Nice, just to share my experiences. And I say every time, if someone say, okay, I gonna change you in 3 weeks, I gonna develop you like this. For me, it's just a dream. You cannot, and especially for the tennis, your player play every day, move around the world, play a lot of tournaments. You cannot have an amazing improvement like this in 1 month. And after, if you have this improvement, you have to keep it during the season. This is a big challenge.
Tough. And what are your challenges so ahead over the next? Daniel's injured. Was that from pushing the red line too much? Was it the hernia?
Our challenge, because Danil gonna stop some weeks, it means like we will work, but step by step he has to have a period of full recover, for sure. He's doing now this week, and after we're gonna restart the process to rehab. And my first challenge will be to come back at the same level as we were. It means my red line for the strength, for what we are doing with him, was to come back. He was here with the injury. We decrease a bit. Now is to come back first at this shape, and when we will stabilize this red line, I don't know. Maybe after the grass season, if he can play as he wants, we will have some times to develop a bit before the USA tour, and after we will see after the USA tour to continue the development. But my first challenge will be to come back at the same shape.
Nice. And you also, I know you work with a friend of mine, Vitalia Dyachenko. Do you also work?
Yeah.
Do you also work with other players as well?
Me, no, I mean my company, because every time I worked a bit with Vitalia because I know her since 10 years, and I did some weeks during these 10 years. Each year we do some weeks like this because she had a lot of physical problem, injuries, surgeries, and we did some work to try to keep her on the good way. And me, no, I'm work with Danil since 2 years. I'm full with him. But on the side, I have my company, and we work on the development of the fitness part in different sport. I started on the last May of the last year, the management of the fitness of All In Company, All In Tennis Academy, with Joe Wilfried Songa and Thierry Assion in south of France. I help for the management and development of the physical part of this academy, and it's a good job to work with a top player. I'm not totally every time with him, and when I have time, I share my experiences with this tennis academy. And on the other side, I have my company, and with my partner, we have some players from different sports, soccer, basketball, and it's like a camp during 1 or 2 weeks. The player come to see us to work on different goal, and we try to help the guy to keep his shape.
Which players have the best all-round fitness, or which athletes? Sorry, like soccer players, tennis players. I think tennis players are quite high up there.
I don't know. I mean, for the tennis, really, the tennis is a hard sport, and I can say the tennis player, when you touch the high level, as Danil, you work physically and you work. It's not like fake work. I can say in the soccer, it's lighter for sure. The practice, the soccer practice is shorter, and the guy is not like a legend. I can tell you, I was soccer player, and it was my sport when I was young. And some friends did a professional career, some friend of me, and when I talk with them, yeah, okay, the guy practice, but the intensity and the quality and the consistency is less than the tennis. Rugby is a little bit different because it's more on the strength part, and it's more like a very hard, but exactly. And after basketball is a little bit different. I put basketball with the soccer. You work, but not easy to push all guys. After, my partner is working in golf, in golf is totally different because my partner is with two golf players in the circuit, professional circuit, and it's more like a bit every day, even if when you are in competition and you do your match, you do your day of competition during the day, and after your competition, you are able to work. You are available to work. It's not like on the tennis when you do your match. If you play 2 hours, just after you don't do physical. On the golf you can. On golf you can. That's why, yeah, I can say tennis is one of the. I mean, he's at the high level about the fitness work. Really, really, really. When you see the day, the tennis player can do, two times. Two tennis of 1 hour 30 or 2 hours, and the physical practice. It means he's gonna spend like 5 hours and a half or 6 hours per day. For the soccer, it means 2 hours per day, and he's done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, big difference. And since you started, let's say, working with tennis players and you gained a lot of knowledge, I'm sure you've learned a lot. But do the same specifics still apply from like 2015 to now? Has much changed in the strength and conditioning world?
I can say the basis is the same. It means like for me, I tell you, for me, the strength part is the most important, and especially for the lower body. And this can be the same. I kept my red lines. But when I started 10 years before, the physical part was not so important, and it was tennis first for sure. And after, if we have time, a little bit physical practice. Now I can say that the fitness part, the physical practice, is really one of the main part of the practice of the player. And for me, it's at the same level than the tennis. You want to become a good tennis player, you can play tennis for sure, and you have to play to learn how to hit the ball tactically. No problem, technically, tactically, but never you will become a good player if you have only your tennis. You have to develop a big physical shape, and that's why for me it was like this 10 years before, and step by step the physical part now arrive at the same level, because we can see on the side also that the mental part is coming. For me, the performance, you have to have physical, mental, and tennis at the same level. If you consider that one is more important than the other, you cannot touch like the big performance. It's what we did with Danil, about mental, physical, and tennis. We put everything is very important, and let's go to work on each part.
Nice. And do you play any tennis?
Me, no. I can hit some ball because I worked in the tennis since 10 years, and I see, and I took sometimes a racket and to hit the ball like this, but I cannot say I play tennis. I don't know to serve. When I serve, I know to serve, but after 5 or 6, I have a bit pain in my shoulders, and no, I play like this for the fun, but really like two friends on the court. Not on competition.
You're a great coach and a great player. I think should they not give you loads of advice? You should be quite good.
But for me, to give you my opinion, it's not because you don't come from the tennis that you will be not a good fitness coach. It's the same for the tennis coach. It's not because you was not a professional in your sport that you will be not a good tennis coach. And the same for each sport. We see a lot of federation to protect a little bit the whole players. You was professional, yeah, you will have your place in the system. But for me, and we are a big example with Gilles and me. Gilles was not professional in tennis. He played, but like a amateur player. And me, I was not from the tennis. But we work on ourselves. We try to evaluate exactly what is the tennis, to analyze correctly the activity, what is necessary to have the performance in the sport, and after we adapt everything with our player, because each player is different, and to say, okay, I'm with Danil now, but I don't know for how many years I will do more with him, but anyway, when I will stop with Danil, because there will have a hand at this story, if I work with another player, it will be different. I will define the maybe new red line, and to I will not change my way to think, but my way to be every day on the court. Yes, I will adapt it. And when you have this adaptation and this um, gym of the brain, you can become a good yeah, good in your job.
Nice. And my final question for you, Eric, is when you're at the tournament, so the 6 or 7 times you may go to a tournament, is there any other player you like watching that you have to see play?
To watch it depends because there is two things. I like to talk with some guy because the character is good and I like the guy. And after there is like on the court about the tennis part. If we talk about the tennis part, mm, I don't know. Me, I'm not like how you say. I cannot tell you I like this or this kind of player because I like to see Nadal to play because he has like amazing, atmosphere around him. He's like just amazing, and for sure I like to watch him. But I like to watch, the young player who are I don't know 120 and he's fighting with a good spirit. I like to see that also. That's why I cannot tell you. Yeah, I like to watch this guy or this guy. No, I like some guys, but no. Yeah, I cannot give you one name.
That's okay. And just sorry, one final thought. Is there any player that stands out to you that their movement is just better than everybody else?
As I told you, me, I'm really focused on the legs and on the movement of the legs because for me it's the most important. It's not easy to give you someone because for me Danil is one of the best or maybe the best about the way to move on the court, especially with his stall. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, some guy like Nadal. I repeat I repeat that for him, but he's like a legend of his sport, and he can move amazing, even if he's old now.
Yeah.
Which guy? I try to think in the same time. Mm, Not really. Sorry, really. When I see about the movement on the court, my example is one of the best is Daniel, and for me, I try to watch for sure the other guy how they move, but yeah, I'm not, in front like this. Yes, this guy move unbelievable.
Eric, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Very interesting, and best of luck with the recovery program ahead of you over the next few weeks and months.
Thank you, thank you. It was a pleasure. With pleasure to restart one like this when you will want to talk. I don't know about some specific thing, but it was a pleasure to be with you. And yeah, thank you for your words, and let's go to continue this good season.